Okay, I'm just starting. Meanwhile, people can join. So, guys, this training is all about your F5 GTM. Right now, its name changed to Big IP DNS. Yeah. So, basically, in this training, we will be talking about what would be the course objective, who can learn this, and how it will benefit you in your future market. Plus, when this batch is starting. So, basically, guys, this live batch will be starting from next weekend. That is 4th Feb. Timing would be 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. IST, and fees is 6,500 rupees. And you should have little knowledge on LTM part of it. I'll be covering little bit basics on LTM. So, but prerequisite, you should have OSI layer knowledge, DNS basic knowledge, like how DNS works. Plus, you should have knowledge on LTM basics, which I'll be covering because this course is mixture of GTM plus LTM, because finally the traffic flow, your LTM is also coming into picture. That is why that is the requirement to learn LTM. So let's start with the course objective. What would be we will be learning. So guys, this would be weekend batch, Saturday, Sunday. Approximately it will take 1 month, and this training is online. And who can attend this training, guys? Anyone who is interested in learning F5 GTM. So when I talk about F5, guys, F5 is a company which has different modules. So F5 has one product called Big IP, and Big IP then particular circulated between LTM module, GTM, ASM, and APM. So these are the 4 common modules which one should learn. In a market, guys, if I say about the demand, DNS is useful everywhere. For name resolution, guys, you need a DNS. Even if it's an automation market or anything, even if you are in learning on cloud, you should have knowledge of DNS. So DNS in F5 is called GTM, that is called Global Traffic Manager. Same thing what DNS is doing right now will be done by Global Traffic Manager. But we need to understand what is the difference between DNS versus a GTM. And LTM is a normal application load balancing, or you can say application delivery controller. So when I talk about GTM plus LTM integration, guys, when we'll be talking about that, your traffic will initially first, whenever you access any website in a browser, I will talk about that. In that case, your GTM comes into picture. So GTM main role is to do name resolution. That is the main role of your GTM, Global Traffic Manager. And when I talk about name resolution means, let's say you have a website. So you cannot remember IP address. That is why you use DNS for name resolution, which says your name to IP address resolution. When I talk about name resolution, it is called name to IP address resolution. If I type sianets.com, it should get resolved to one IP address. Which client will get it? See, client does not know what is the IP or nothing. It does not care. Client wants that my website should be accessible. And what it wants, they want 24/7 availability. That are the main concerns of GTM. So GTM main concern is to provide URL IP address. Once you get an IP address, in DNS also, what do you get, guys? When you access any website, first thing is you do NS lookup. Let's say customer says that I'm not able to access sianets.com. So what is the first troubleshooting step you do is you resolve NS lookup sianets.com, and you see whether it's resolving to correct IP address. And that IP is called your virtual IP. Once you get a DNS resolution, guys, first role is you need to do DNS resolution. That is the first role of any GTM solution or any normal traffic flow. Then guys, there will be a TCP handshake. There comes picture your F5 LTM. So traffic flow is like your traffic will receives on wide IP. Wide IP has a pool, and in pool you have virtual servers of LTM. So wide IP is nothing but it is your A record. A record in DNS is called your IP to URL resolution, or you can say URL to IP resolution. So first traffic flow every time DNS comes into picture. And in F5, it is called F5 GTM Global Traffic Manager. So who wants to have a quick refresher of DNS, how it works? We will start with little basics on LTM. Then we will see the features of GTM and DNS. Previously, it was named as F5 GTM. Now it has been replaced to F5 DNS. And who can learn this? Anyone who from network operators, administrator, architect, or engineers of security. Because you should know what is going backend. See, you access any website, what is the first thing you get it? So you should know exactly in backend what it do. And guys, whoever is doing this prerequisite, you should have basic understanding of TCP/IP, OSI layer, and little bit on DNS, plus LTM basics, like what is web, what is pool, and what is pool member. So that is what is required in your prerequisite of your GTM. And guys, facilities what we are providing you is you will get recorded videos after each class, plus you will get study guide, or I can say study materials, plus you will be getting lifetime interview support. So people are reaching to us whenever there has any interview. What does it means is, guys, let's say you have an interview in a company where, so guys, why I am saying this course is very important is because nowadays company wants a person who has knowledge on both LTM plus GTM. Plus nowadays you also know that some people was asking security knowledge. So that is where comes your WAF product. Even in cloud also, guys, you heard about DNS 53, Route 53. That is plays the same role of GTM or DNS. So any network administrator, guys, should have knowledge of this load balancer. And this is in huge demand, guys. Trust me. I have many people, you can check our feedbacks, who got selected after doing our courses. And we make sure that whoever attends our classes, they watch our videos. And when they will have their interviews, they can call me 3-4 days back, Monday to Friday in evening for any doubts also. Let's say today you are not able to attend class and you have doubts, you can ask me Monday to Friday. You will be have separate WhatsApp group also available where we have people from different companies. So my main role or as a skilled inspirational academy, my name is Vidit. I am basically certified in all this. I'm certified in F5 LTM, which is 101, 201, 301, 302, and 303. So if I talk about LTM covers your 101, 201, and 301. And if someone wants to get certified in GTM, guys, your prerequisite is you should get certified in 101 and 201. For GTM, you should be clearing 302. After this, you can directly clear your 302 exam. And F5 certification is huge demand in Gulf countries, guys. Every organization are using, and main advantage is F5 is giving you free license, guys. You can do n number of labs, and labs you can do either in your laptop, which requires 16 GB RAM, and either or you can do in Google Cloud, which gives you 3 months of free lab access. But you need to take care that whenever you are not using resources, you need to close it down. So it gives you 21,000 rupees as a free credit. Only thing is you should have international debit card or credit card. So this was all about ourselves and what we will be covering in this. What are the prerequisites? Now let's come into the course content, guys. If I talk about course content, guys, so course content, let me just elaborate quickly. So we will be starting with basics of F5. What is F5 and how we set up a lab setup with LTM coming into picture. So I will discuss some things on LTM stuff so that it would be easy to understand GTM features. After that, guys, once lab setup is done, licensing is done. See, main question which will be asked in interview is, whenever you deploy F5, what are the things you will take care when you deploy from scratch? So you should know how to activate license, how to activate your management IP connectivity, how to do network setup, then how to integrate your LTM with GTM product. So this all will be done on this. Now, next step, guys, which we will be going with DNS overview. What is DNS exactly and how it works? Like you must have seen when you access any website. So what are your end user? Let's say your end user wants to access any website. How the traffic flows end to end. This is the interview question which is asked in every company nowadays. Here we will check about the records also. There are different records in DNS. After that, guys, features comes related to GTM. Why, when we talk about GTM, why it is called accelerated versus intelligent? See, normal DNS, we cannot say that it's not intelligent. It's not intelligent. But when I talk about GTM as a product, it is an intelligent. Why I say that? Let's say, guys, I have two data center, one in US, one in UK. And your application, same application is hosted here, same application is hosted here. Now your client, one client is sitting in US, one client is sitting in UK. I want that US client should go to US data center for DNS resolution, so that my speed of website when I access is fast. Someone is there on UK should go to UK data center. When I talk about normal DNS, guys, this is not possible. But when I talk about GTM, that is why it is called intelligent, because it has features which makes it possible. What feature make it possible is your topology based load balancing. When I talk about GTM, there are different load balancing algo which comes into picture, guys. That is very, very important. Now, guys, another thing, when I talk about DNS, normal DNS only supports round robin as load balancing algo. Initially, when there was not a GTM box, by default, it was only having round robin algo. And even, guys, there is no purpose, no track without F5 that which server is down, which server is not down. So end users are also connecting on down server. In that case, you will get reachability issues. So GTM makes sure that it tracks. Let's say your one application, let's say you have an F5. After F5, there are 3 servers where your application is hosted. If one of the server goes down, there is a redundancy. Through that, your application is provided. So that is why when I talk about F5, GTM or LTM, you have a features called 24 into 7 availability. First thing is availability. Second thing is intelligence. And you can host your application in multiple data center. That is why it is called global traffic manager. So that is where it comes into picture GTM and LTM. So we will talk about accelerated DNS resolution and intelligent DNS resolution in detail. Why it is called intelligent, why it is called accelerated. When a DNS query is received, why it is called accelerated means when a DNS query, let's say when a GTM is there into picture, your user wants to connect. User wants to access an application sianets.com. First thing is DNS resolution. So in DNS resolution, most important thing is there is a listener IP, guys. Acceleration means that there are several methods to resolve your query. My question to everyone is, guys, DNS works on which port number? When I talk about DNS, it works on which port number? Anyone, guys? DNS, you can reply on the chat. DNS works on port number 53. DNS is TCP or UDP? Anyone, guys? When I talk about DNS, DNS is the TCP or UDP? So DNS, this is an important, my favorite interview question which I asked different colleagues. DNS works on both TCP and UDP. UDP is for DNS query. And when I talk about TCP, TCP is used for DNS express or zone transfer because that is a critical feature. And when I talk about listener, guys, what is listener? You must have heard about this term NF5. Can anyone tell me what is listener? When I talk about LTM, when I talk about GTM, can I say that without virtual server, your F5 will accept the traffic? No. If you don't have a virtual server in F5, by default traffic will get denied. So you should have a listener. See, listener is nothing but you can say when you open your desktop, at that time you enter 4.2.2.2 or 8.8.8.8. That is called listener in F5 GTM or called name server. So how your local DNS? So when I talk about DNS traffic flow, let's talk about DNS traffic flow for some minute. Let's take an example. You have an end user. Let's say end user is Hemu sir. He is want to access example.com. What will happen in this case, guys? He wants to access web page example.com. What will happen, guys? First, can anyone tell me when there is a DNS name resolution traffic flow, what is the first thing which will happen in DNS name resolution? First, it will check your DNS host file. Whether you have example.com in your host file. So that resolution can happen directly. If it's there in your extra host file, why you need to go to further on your LDNS root name server or TLD or Amazon root server? You can directly go to host file and get the IP. See, my main role is I want to do name to IP resolution. That is where we need to understand the traffic flow. Let's say if you don't have example.com IP address in this, then it will check where, guys. When a query arrives on DNS, at that time where it will check. First, it will check on localhost file, then anyone. This is the interview question, guys, which will be asked in every company. It will be checking on DNS local cache. If it is not there in local cache, next will be what thing, guys? It will go to your local DNS. Whenever you don't find anything on host file, or you don't find anything on cache, what it will happen? So it will go to local DNS. Can anyone tell me what is local DNS? Local DNS is nothing but a DNS server hosted in your own network. That is called LDNS. First, it will check extra host. Otherwise, it will check your cache. If it does not find, then it will go to LDNS. So local DNS, if someone asks you, people does not have thing, we should understand what is local DNS. So local DNS is nothing, but it is your special computer or special device that helps other computers and devices to find their way. When you type google.com, what will happen? Your computer will find out where this website is hosted on internet, guys. First thing is, when I try to access google.com, where it will go? It will check where this website is hosted. So in that case, concept comes as DNS, and local DNS is just acting as a shortcut. So when you ask your computer to visit a website, it can look up over their website on local DNS. If it does not find in local DNS, then it will go to your root server. See, first it will go to LDNS. LDNS does not have example.com IP. He says that, can you go to the name server of TLD, top level domain? So he's saying that I don't have IP address. Root server also says that I don't have an IP address of this domain. But I know that I can give you a reference for .com top level domain. Then fourth step is it will go to your .com top level domain. Then it will check in this entry whether I have this www.example.com, whether I am authoritative. See, guys, the person who has the record of this www.example.com, that is called authoritative DNS server. Otherwise, it is called recursive. See, what is happening here? Can anyone tell me what is recursive? Recursive means that I am giving reference that I don't have go to this server. In every, whether it's coming to DNS root server, top level domain server, or Amazon server, what it is giving? It is giving a reference that I don't have example.com record, but I have .com record. Go to this name server. Now it will say that example.com I don't have, but I know where this example.com is hosted. It will give you the reference of Amazon. There this record is hosted. After that, guys, once you get an IP address, can you see this? This will be forwarded to end user. So resolution is happen what? Your example.com is getting resolved to which IP, guys? 192.0.2.44. After that, what will happen, guys? Your end user gets an IP address. What is the next step? Hurry up, guys. Please reply in the chat. You get an IP address, guys. After that, what will happen? Your DNS resolution task is completed. What will happen after that? My domain name server translate your domain name to correspondence IP address. After that, guys, there will be a TCP handshake. End user will make a connection with example.com and it will give a web page for this example.com. So local DNS server is nothing but it's a server which is either set up inside of your company or in home network. Guys, one question for everyone. You have a computer, you are sitting at home, then you have a router. After that, what you have? You access google.com. What is the local DNS you put here? In your home PC, which is acting as LDNS? Anyone? Which device is acting as an LDNS? Anyone, guys? So your router is acting as your LDNS server. So local DNS is a server inside your company or home network. Instead of going to Google public DNS, you can set up your own local DNS server also. Very, very important, guys. You should understand what is LDNS, what is root name server. Now, guys, someone can ask you this question that what is name server? You can see there is root name server, there is .com name server, then there is Amazon root name server. If I ask you what is name server, what you will say, guys? Because this is very important, guys. When you talk about DNS, you should first set up your name server. So name servers are servers connected to internet and they will handle your queries. So they know where is the location of your domain name. They know where is the location of where exactly this domain is. So selecting and setting a name server is very, very important. So if you fail to set up a name server, guys, then devices that want to connect to your domain, they will not able to come to know. So name servers generally use a text file which is called zone file. So that is was all about your DNS. So when I talk about accelerated or what is DNS overview, we will talk about that. Now let me tell you what are the other things which we will be covering. We will be covering about LDNS, how we configure LDNS and their metrics. Then we will talk about, guys, load balancing algo. So when I talk about load balancing algo, DNS or a GTM, when resolves your DNS query, it takes helps of your load balancing algo. My main role is my name to IP resolution should happen. At last, what I want, name to IP resolution. What are monitors? Anyone? Monitors are your health monitor. If one virtual server is down or one server is down, it can tell you. So F5 GTM monitors your performance and availability. So your GTM, either you can deploy it in cloud network, you can deploy in virtual edition, or you can deploy on your hardware box. Then we will talk about, guys, files, logs. See, this is just a common, but inside it, there are many things which we'll be covering. This is just an overview outline. Like in If I give you one example, what is covered in your overview? We will talk about overview of big IP, GTM features, how to configure management IP. So guys, initially when you configure F5 from scratch, you will first give management IP. Then how to do licensing and provisioning, network configuration, initial lab setup. So this is how we do it, guys. So see, in our lab topology, we will be having two data center, one London, one New York. So I will show my lab topology, which I will be following up. It is just for your easiness. So I'll be following this topology, guys. So this is data center 1 in US. This is data center 2 in UK. So I will have one GTM box here in data center 1, one GTM box in UK. Then I have one LTM box in US, one LTM box in UK. I will have some DNS server to show you, and we will have one Windows machine where all resolution will happen. And this topology I have set in Google Cloud. You can also set up in lab topology. See, we need to understand the topology. REST GTM LTM integration does not take space. You can have one GTM spin up with 4 GB RAM and one LTM with 4 GB. That can also work. Because configuration part is same. You can configure and provision. By default, guys, when you do a license, so how to do it? Let's say I want to provision GTM. So I will log in into my F5 box. In this, I will go to System tab. Then there is a term called resource provisioning. So guys, can you see this? Right now, this box is only provisioned with LTM module. But I also want to use GTM features. In that case, guys, you will select this GTM and provision it. So what you need to do, just select GTM, nominal, and submit. That is how, guys, once you license the box, first thing is management IP. Second thing is licensing. Then you do resource provisioning. So in resource provisioning, you should configure GTM and LTM both. So this is how the topology looks like. Now, guys, we will talk about intelligent DNS accelerated. This comes in accelerated. DNS Express, cache. This will all first process your queries. That is why it is called accelerating DNS. We will also talk about DNS security. So guys, by default, when we don't have an F5 box, when we don't have an F5 box, how the packet flows? You have client, and you have a server. That thing is called packet-based device. In that, what will happen? You see, you don't have an F5. So packet will come on your firewall or a router, then it will get forwarded. Now, if this servers goes down, what would be impact? Anyone? In this packet-based design, when we don't have F5 coming into picture, what will happen? Anyone can tell me? If this server goes down, what will happen? Will your client will able to access any application? Let's say my application is sianets.com. Will he able to access? When this server goes down, there is no monitoring technology. Your router or firewall does not have load balancing technology. They cannot monitor whether server is up or down. That is where, guys, F5 intelligent comes into picture. And that is where it is called full proxy architecture. What does full proxy architecture mean? By default, I told you, let's say my customer wants to access sianets.com. First thing is you should have listener configure. Second thing, you should have wide IP configure for this. Third thing is you should have virtual server for this. If you don't have this, guys, customer will not able to access sianets.com. That is why by default F5 is called default denied device. For any domain, if you want to access, you should have a listener of or a virtual server. So in this case, guys, why F5 is called full proxy? Because there will be a separate connection from client to F5, and there will be a separate connection from F5 to the server. That is why it is called full proxy architecture. I can also say that this traffic can be encrypted, but this traffic is unencrypted. This is on SSL. This cannot be on SSL, I can also say. So this traffic has a independent. This traffic does not have any dependency on this traffic. That is called full proxy architecture. So we talked about this. I will not talk much about this. Big IP system has two plane. One is data plane. One is management plane or control plane. They have a dedicated management interface. So this is how it is. If you want to access TMS, CLI, GUI, then it comes under your management plane. Plus your module processing, data traffic, all comes under your data plane. So this is how your F5 looks like. So you have separate ports, management port, USB port, console port. This is like F5 hardware, whether it's a GTM. See, GTM, LTM is one module, but F5 hardware looks like this. You have console port, failover port, LEDs, and your switch interfaces. This is how it looks like at backend. So we will be provisioning GTM with GTM module. We will deploy GTM in active integration. All this lab setup will be done. DNS Express, every topic has a lab. And this is very, very important interview question which is asked, guys. You can take a snapshot. When we deploy F5 from scratch, or when we deploy F5 GTM from scratch, what things you need to do? First, guys, you need to configure management port. Second, you need to configure licensing. Then you need to provision network setup, and then virtual servers, wide IPs. That is how your traffic flows, guys. You can access your F5 either by GUI and CLI. So everything we will discuss later on by step, licensing part, provisioning part, platform IP address, and network configuration. Now, guys, what is DNS? We have already talked. Let's talk step by step. DNS is called domain name system. Its main purpose is I want to resolve host name to IP address. That is called domain name server. My main purpose is I want to resolve name to IP address, that is called DNS. So this is how your tree structure looks like. We have .com till domain, then we have f5.com, then you can have tech.f5.com. So your directory starts with root, then com, then f5, let's say, then let's say support. So this is tree infrastructure. First it will go to this, then it will check this, then it will check this. That is how DNS tree structure is formed. And why we use DNS, you all already know. And how does DNS work? Very, very important, guys. DNS is a mechanism. There is a mechanism called resolver query. First, it will go to root server, top level domain, then particular server. That is very, very important. We will talk about this again. This one I will not go further on. Now, if I talk about, guys, traffic flow of GTM. Just give me one. Yeah. We talked about this, but I'm telling you again. First, let's say client wants to type f5.com in DNS. So first, where it will go? It will check your, see, first it will check for host file. Very, very important. Then local cache. If it does not find record for this in both this file, then it will go to local DNS server. After that, he's saying that it will forward the request to root name server. Root name server will say, go to this server because I don't have entry. Then further on, it will go to 100.1.com server. Then it will say, your f5.com name server is hosted on this IP. Then finally, it has your f5.com IP. It will give IP address. If you remember this picture, guys, you will never forget. And this is transparent to user process. You don't require, your customer does not know how in behind it's happening. It is transparent to user. And this is a normal when we have a GTM, how it is. When we talk about GTM, I will show you when we have GTM and LTM in picture. So what I have is, guys, I have a GTM box. This is, I will say, DNS box. Then I have DC1, LTM. Here I have servers. Let's say these are my server 1, server 2, server 3. Then I have one DC2. It has also one LTM with its servers. Server 1, server 2, server 3. Now guys, I have a user. User wants to resolve sianets.com. Where it will go, guys? It will check that whether sianets.com listener is present on GTM. That is called wide IP. Wide IP is nothing but a record of your URL. So sianets.com, let's say wide IP is there, it will go here. After that, guys, it will have one pool. In pool, guys, it will have one IP of this LTM box, one virtual server of this box. Let's say it has an IP address 10.2.2.10, where virtual server is one is this. Virtual server 2, which is configured on data center true, has an IP 10.2.2.11. So F5 GTM, let's say pool has a load balancing algo round robin. Anyone can tell me, guys, your sianets.com, when GTM receives a request query, it will resolve to which IP address? When you look NS lookup sianets.com, in this picture, which IP GTM will return to user? Anyone, guys, please reply on the chat. You will understand whole GTM concept. When user is accessing sianets.com, GTM receives a traffic because wide IP is there. Now GTM has a pool with two IP address, virtual server 1, virtual server 2. And it has IP address this. And load balancing algo is round robin. So when DNS response, GTM will return which IP it will return for sianets.com. Anyone, guys? See, it's a normal question. Don't just guess it. Don't worry. IP address it will get is 10.2.2.10. Then, guys, next session of your client will directly go to this virtual server. Then it will get a web page. Then normal local traffic load balancing will happen. Initially, once DNS resolution happens, your GTM gives an IP address. Then normal local traffic manager resolves your IP address. It's very interesting. It's not difficult. You should know how the traffic flows. So this is how your LTM GTM integration is happening. This is called LTM intelligent DNS resolution. Now, why it is called intelligent, guys? Anyone can tell me why GTM is called intelligent? When I talk with G versus DNS, GTM I say is intelligent. Why it is intelligent is because it ensures that your end users are always sent to a website which is available. First thing. Second thing, from where I get the best response. Let's say I'm sitting in US, I should get response from US data center. So it applies intelligence load balancing algo. It will check the geographic location of your user and determine the query's resolution. Then it will direct the traffic based on your geographic location or your network location or your data center location. That is why it is called GTM. Now with intelligent, guys, it needs speed. What I want is I want accurate results with quick resolution. I don't want my query to go to my, let's say I want sianets.com to get resolved. I should get answer in 1 second or 2 seconds. There should be no delay. In that is called DNS Express feature, guys, which we will study. So what will happen in this case, guys? You have client, you have GTM, then you have one DNS server, primary DNS server, I can say. Whatever zones, let's say you have created some records here, that will get transferred through this. All records where it's created on this, now GTM will act as a authoritative DNS server. So that client gets IP address quickly. That is where it is called DNS Express. Another feature of GTM web which is important is DNS security. Anyone knows how DNS security works? So let's say guys, you have a client, then you have an F5. Let's say there is a hacker. How client will come to know that whether sianets.com resolution is done by a hacker or a F5? So GTM uses DNS security as a feature. What it do is any response which is generating by F5, it will sign. It will have some signature applied to your query response so that client knows that this is a valid query. So this is called TSSIJ. There is one signature, transaction signature. So it makes sure that only authoritative DNS, guys. This hacker is also claiming to be a DNS server, and this is also claiming to have DNS server. How client will be prove that resolution which I'm wanted an DNS answer? My main concern is I want a DNS response. How it will make sure from which IP it is getting? So that is how your DNS comes into picture, guys. We will see how authoritative. So one last flow I want to check with you is DNS order of operation. Traffic flow when GTM you have F5 DNS order of operation. Very important to understand. First, guys, your DNS query always arrives on GTM listener. Let's say listener is 4.2.2.2. Then it will say that, let's say sianets.com client wants to get an answer. It will check that for sianets.com whether I have a wide IP. If yes, then intelligent resolution will happen. Then GTM picture packet flow comes into picture. Very important diagram, guys. If there is no wide IP for sianets.com, guys, then there will be no intelligent DNS. It will check that whether there is this name sianets.com is there in your DNS express zone. If there is no wide IP, intelligent resolution will not happen. It will go further on. If the name is present in DNS express, it will perform accelerated resolution. If there is no entry in DNS express, guys, then it will go further on checking on DNS cache, whether there is a name sianets.com in caching. If yes, then it is called accelerated DNS. If it's not there in DNS cache, then there will be a pool with listener. There will be a listener which will have a pool of DNS server. They are normal DNS server pools, which is hosted in data center. They are not GTM. If it's not there in list, if listener does not have a pool, then it will go for local bind resolution. So DNS has a bind where it creates a zone file. So that is how the traffic flows. We will talk about every step. What is DNS Express? What is DNS cache? Everything in detail.